Okay, yeah, great and glorious Nick Dutch here again, talking today about the negative aspects of tarot and mysticism. Um, well, where to begin? The first problem with any form of mysticism, whether it comes from Christianity, paganism, or any other faith, is the fact that the different individuals would interpret the signs and symbols and meanings in very different ways, and this goes for tarot as well. When you're going through the process of talking to other people who understand tarot, you'll see a wide variety of different points of view, wide variety of different perspectives. Now, with a lot of people, they can end up stopping right there and saying, well, all these people are crazy because they're not agreeing on anything. But it's the fact that people aren't agreeing on all the meanings of all the signs, the symbols, and all the rest of it, that's actually a positive thing, because it shows different stages of development and growth, none of which is higher than the other one, but they're still different points of view, and as such, that demonstrates that there is some thinking happening. I agree and I admit that a lot of times people get involved in both religion and mysticism to try and help someone else do the thinking for them, which can be negative. But on the other hand, it's still a stage, it is a ladder onto another level of understanding, which can then help them to find some means of progression. So this is something I've only been thinking about relatively recently and trying to put into some kind of coherent argument. So when it comes to different people looking at different religions, when it comes to different people looking at different divination methods and interpreting them in distinctly different ways, then that's actually right, because it shows some thought is happening. But it's when someone sticks to a particular interpretation of the world and doesn't grow beyond that at all. It's going to be like sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly with a lot of people anyway. Keeping a rigid meaning or a rigid structure just doesn't seem to hold water or help. With the example of tarot, there's different interpretations going back to biblical sources, going back to Celtic and pagan sources, going back to Egyptian sources, and the meanings are very variable there. I suppose the most important thing that I've ever read was in a version of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I think it was either in the foreword or the afterword or some other part, either at the very beginning or the very back, where the actual people who were collating this version of the Tibetan Book of the Dead realized from their analysis of it that there were similarities throughout all religions, and therefore all religions were essentially all one, all part of the same thing. So if you're going through the process of trying to understand tarot and you're being bombarded by different meanings for the various different symbols and the various different cards, don't worry about that. Start simply and then work up from that point. Start from the point of trying to analyze one particular structure or one particular way of thinking, and then move on from that afterwards with a bit of time to see whether other ideas, maybe even stuff that you've seen on TV or heard on the radio or read in books, have some kind of correlation with what you're also learning through your divination and spiritual attempts through tarot. And realistically, the same kind of thinking can actually be applied to religion as well, because you're going to come across people who have different religious interpretations. And holding steadfast onto one interpretation, maybe you need to have some flexibility there, move away from that point and try and develop flexibility and start incorporating more ideas into your practices. Okay, because there isn't one right or wrong answer. Maybe we could say different things politically, but even that's open for debate as well. It's a very complex can of worms, is the whole spirituality thing. So it's just worthwhile starting off simple and then working up to something more complex when time passes.